Welcome back, everybody. We are going to do another tech tip. This week we're going to actually highlight a program that we have in district called Nearpod. We'll talk about what Nearpod is, how it can be used, and where we're headed. First thing I want to do is just kind of go over the SAMR model one more time and how we're going to take our regular classroom, kind of introduce that technology to the next stage. So we're starting with this concept of, teacher leads paper, pencil, teacher writes on chalkboard or whiteboard as where we all began. Then we introduce technology, and for the most part, technology a lot of times is used simply as substitution. So for example, PowerPoint substitutes what we were doing on the board before. It's acting as a direct substitute with no real functional change. We're still just putting notes in front of kids, giving them an opportunity to copy or follow along. Yes, PowerPoint can be more than that, but that's the original use for it. So with Nearpod, we're actually going to get into this concept of augmentation and modification potentially with it, as Nearpod takes this concept of presentation, online presentation like PowerPoint, to the next level, because we're adding functional improvement through the use of implementing formative assessment tools, student feedback tools, collaborative tools. So that jumps us in. And you may also dive deeper into the waters and get to where we start to look at using it to redesign a task that you may have. So that's how that kind of rolls along the SAMR model. And now let's get into Nearpod. So when you go to nearpod.com, we do have a district license. For anyone that doesn't already know that, you can contact me and I will help you get your login squared away. So if you're tied in with us to the district license, we're just going to go to nearpod.com and we're going to log in with Office 365. When we get logged in, it brings us to this home page here where we have My Library. That's where you store all of the Nearpods that you have bookmarked or created yourself. Explore is like Nearpod's store. There's thousands of pre-created Nearpod lessons that you can either use as they are posted by other staff or Nearpod, or you may edit them and adapt them to your own lessons. Join is if you're in a workshop or something and you're joining someone else's Nearpod lesson, you go right there. Create, where you're creating a Nearpod directly from scratch from the beginning, and we'll go over that briefly. And then a reports, where you can see report printouts of all of the Nearpods that your students have completed or that you have used in lessons, so that you have all the student feedback, formative assessments, that data is organized. So the first thing we're going to dive into is we're going to go to the Explorer, and we're going to go right to the store. So in the Nearpod store, again, there's highlighted lessons at the top here. You have lessons separated by subject and content areas. There's virtual reality Nearpod lessons. There's new lessons by publisher, holidays, tons of different things, free ones, paid ones. Now here's the big thing about being part of the district license. It's all free. So you will not see any pricing on any of these. If you log into Nearpod and you see pricing, that means you're not tied to our district license. So please make sure you get a hold of me and get that done. You can also filter lessons by subject, by resource, by grade. And another feature is nice is that you can filter by standard. There's the new science standards, Common Core, but New York is also in here. So you can filter by New York State standards that we are working with, and you can look items up that way as well. Not every standard or every lesson is tied to a New York State standard, but this is a quick way to, again, find lessons if you're looking for something particular. Under the Explore tab at the top, we have Nearpod Library, which is what we're currently in, the school or district library. So another way to tell if you're in on our district license is if you see this district library. That's where myself or other colleagues can put information in to be shared throughout the district. There's a digital citizenship path and college and career exploration path that we get as part of our district license. Good for the higher kids, or for the secondary kids, I should say. Just a quick tour of what you can dig up. Everything's K-12. They're broken down. So say if I want to look at something on this lesson of mixtures, I just click on it. I'm going to get a preview of the lesson. I can just click through and preview the slides, what this teacher or company has put together, what questions are on there, what's our learning objective. They're pre-built. And if I want more information, I can click this little arrow. It gives me another brief description and the company that made it. I can share it. I can send it to the district library or add it directly to my library. If I add it to my library, that's how I'm going to be able to share that out with my students. So say I add this to my library, it's going to download it, and now it's green and show. So now we're going to jump over to our library. So in your library, you're going to have all of the lessons that you have either created or dropped in here that you wanted to work with. So in this case, here's that mixtures lesson that we just added. If I hover over the top of it, I have a lot of different options here. I can preview it again, edit. So if I want to go in and change content or add a slide or add some activity, I can. The three dots here, I can share it, duplicate it, again, add it, export it as a PDF, get the reports, or delete it. And the two main features that you generally work off of for running a Nearpod lesson is whether that lesson is either a live lesson or a student-paced lesson. A live lesson is run by the teacher from the front of the classroom. When the teacher is doing this, the teacher controls all of the student device screens. So as the teacher is scrolling through the slides on the lesson, it is changing the slides on the students' devices as well. Nice way of keeping kids on pace if you need to be doing something introductory or keeping everybody together so that they can work on something collaboratively or to get some quick formative assessment as a whole group. If you build a lesson that your kids can work on at their own pace, then you launch that as a student-paced lesson. That could be sent home as homework, it could be sent home as classwork, or done in school as classwork, small group work. But this one, the kids can move at their own pace, does not require the teacher to be changing the slides or anything for them. So those are the two big differences there. Just as a quick of kind of how you're going to do that. When we go into create, we can create from here, or we can go back to this home tab and go to create. Create lets us start from blank, creating a new presentation. You can also upload PowerPoints or PDF documents that you already have on file. If you load your current PowerPoint that you're working in class, we're going to take that PowerPoint to the next level, add it into Nearpod, because that allows us to now add features to it. So if I add a slide, I can add content, which means I'm going to be building out, if I click on that, a slide deck itself. There's 3D Nearpods, simulations for science, BBC video, virtual field trips, Microsoft Sways can be built in, videos where you can put YouTube videos embedded in here, audio files embedded in, PDF documents embedded in. You can add content that sits right inside of here so the kids don't have to go someplace else to get that content. Another feature is to add web content. You just paste in any URL address. Now this is nice for us when we're using Office 365 because everything stored in our OneDrive actually has a URL or a website address. So you can put all of your own saved documents, files embedded into these that kids can read based on the resources we are already using. And last, the big feature is the adding activities. You can add open-ended questions, matching, which is brand new, quiz, Draw It, which allows kids to draw right on a screen, circle things. Now that we have touchscreens, that makes things even nicer as well. They can collaborate, kind of like a post-it note board of activities, similar to a Padlet style concept. Polls, fill in the blank, and a memory test. So these are all the activities that you can embed in. These are the activities that take us from substitution to augmentation, adding that new functionality into our presentations. This is a quick tour of what you can do to kind of highlight what Nearpod is able to do. At the time of this taping, which is October 11th, 2018, we do have a Nearpod workshop through our TRC coming up at the end of October, so look on MLP to get more information on this if you are interested. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Thanks for watching.